I got a question for you, and it's a little personal, but I want you to ask yourself this. Have you ever wondered why is it that some people are just better at what they do than you are? It might be in the same field that you're doing, might be a competitor of yours, somebody at work, somebody who just does the most amazing art you've ever seen, and then your art is nowhere in comparison to that. So have you ever had that thought? Why is it like that? Why is it so unfair? Well, what I'm going to tell you today, it's going to level the playing field. It really is. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dada Groover, and I am an award-winning author and speaker, and I am a founder of the Awaken School, where we help people become world changers. I happen to be looking for information for my book, and part of which is set in the 1960s. This is called The Reluctant Visionary, the book I'm just now finishing. Air quotes, because I thought it was done, but actually I realized, no, I got more to do on it. In any case, I am browsing through YouTube, and I wanted to see the year the Boots Were Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra was done, because I wanted to know if I can have it in the book and have somebody refer to it. As it was, it didn't, but what popped up was a version of Scarlett Johansson, the actress, singing Boots Are Made for Walking. She was doing a USO tour, a few years ago. Might have been 2016, so it was a good while ago. And she was, I want to say it was in Iraq, and she's, performing with another singer. And, some of the comments were like, wow, it's just so surprising that she can sing. And yes, and she's got a beautiful voice. And I was thinking to myself, why is that surprising? Why is that surprising? And it really came to me that the reason it's so surprising to people is because they see somebody like that as, a talented actress or a talented actor that, wow, they're just gifted. They're just gifted. And they just have this amazing magic wand that's been, tapped on their head, and they just do amazing things from then on throughout life. And I'm here to tell you that it is not like that. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about creative success that there is. And what I want to say about Scarlett Johansson is that she works incredibly hard. I just know this. I read about actors and actresses and singers and different kinds of creative people, and I happen to know that she works extremely hard, and she worked extremely hard on developing her voice, which is an important part of her acting, obviously. And it's just something that she decided on her own that she wanted to do, that she wanted to have call it a side career, whatever, is singing. And I say side career because her acting career is obviously much more known than her singing. In any case, some people are born into this world with greater gifts. They are born in with greater talent. But there's a book written, it was written quite a while ago. I believe it was around 2008 or 2009 by Jeff Colvin, called Talent is Overrated. Amazing book. I highly recommend you read it. And in this book, he makes the point that people put so much emphasis on how talented somebody is, and they really neglect how hard somebody works to achieve the creative success that they want to get. And he gave Mozart as an example. So Mozart, there's no question, in my mind at least, there's no question that he was born into this world with a huge amount of talent, with an extraordinary amount of talent. But did you know that Mozart's father wrote a book at one point called How to Raise a Child Prodigy? I'm not making this up. This is also in Jeff Colvin's book. So, his father had this idea to raise a child prodigy, and yes, that combination with Mozart's born talent, wow, it's definitely a winning combination. I mean, we're listening to his work hundreds of years later, still, and he's still considered one of the greatest composers of all times. However, people have a huge mystique around, and he was composing symphonies when he was 7 years old, and I don't know the exact age. It was something like that, 6 or 7 years old. And, as Jeff Colvin makes the point, they're not played today. They are not, because they're not that good. Yeah, they're symphonies, they're, compositions, and they are notable that they were composed by someone who's of that tender young age, but they're not earth-shattering. They're not being played 200 years old, 200 years later. And he did make his first lasting composition was done when he was 19 years old, which is still very young. So he is working hard. His father is pushing him from a very early age. And by the time he's 19, he has a lot of experience. And, the rest is history. The rest is history. And I'm not at all minimizing the fact that he was extraordinarily talented, that he had extraordinary talent. Would that be a better way to say it? Yes, it would. But he worked his rear end off. He worked extremely hard. He was very focused. You could say he was obsessed with success, with always becoming better, and so on and so forth. But that's the underlying story around Mozart that a lot of people don't realize. And I would like to propose the same thing to you, that you can be very talented. You can do amazing things without working very hard, possibly, if you're really lucky. Some people do. I have known people that were good without really working hard at it. And I've known of musicians that became famous, and some of them were flashes in the pan. Right? They were just like, one-hit wonders or whatever. They didn't have a history of working very hard. They just kind of had the right voice. They had the right song. They might have had the right agent or manager or whatever, and bang. I'm not going to mention Spice Girls or anybody like that. And actually, Spice Girls was a created act. It was a created act where some producers got women together and they gave them names and they said, okay, you'll do this and you do that. And I bet people go for it if we do this and do that. And it was a produced act. It was a produced act. And that's kind of a different story. It was a business proposition. Was it creative? You be the judge of that. Obviously, I'm very judgmental about that. I was not planning to bring up the Spice Girls and other acts like that become commercially successful. What's a nice way to say without much apparent talent? I'll think of an alternative to saying that. But in any case, there's a lot of them out there, and I think you know about them. Same thing with movies. Same thing with books. It's not as much about what's even talented as what sells. So apart from that, what I'm saying is for somebody to get really good, it's not nearly as much about talent as it is about their hard work. So in my own example, so you've seen my basses hanging up behind me. Those are basses that get used. I still play publicly on a regular basis. I love playing. I love performing. I love playing bass. And when I was 13, I started playing bass guitar. I had started playing string bass when I was 10. So I started pretty early. I started at cello when I was 9. So I had a little bit of background. But when I was 13 and I started playing bass guitar, I would practice at least 4 days, sometimes 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. How did I do that? And my homework, it was simple. I didn't do any homework. I just practiced my bass 7 hours. And when I was 15, I was playing professionally. Now, I went to a school in McLean, Virginia, Langley High School, and we had one of the best music programs in the United States. We had an award-winning jazz band. We had an award-winning classical music band. And, the choral ensemble in the school was great. It was very music-oriented. It was very arts-oriented school. I was extremely fortunate to have been exposed to that and have had that experience. And within that school, there was a huge amount of students who made, they made better music than I did. They were better musicians. They had more talent. My best friend in high school, a guy named Peter Princiato, so much more talent than me, born with. And he worked hard, too. He developed his talent. And here's the funny thing. And many of the people that I went to high school with turned out to be professional musicians. Peter Princiato is an example. He's a professional musician. He's been so since, 1975 or something. So amazing career, very creative person, and so on. So many people that I knew, that I went to school with, that had such a huge amount of talent, more talent than I did. However, I started playing professionally when I was 15. I carried that through my teenage years. When I was 18, I decided that professional music was not for me. I had enough experience around it to decide, yep, I'm not going to do this full time. I've always done it as a part-time gig, and I love it, like I said. But here's the point I'm making. So with my lesser talent, the harder work was there. I was focused, I worked hard, and I looked at the business of music, how to perform, who to play with. And yeah, I played in rock bands. That's not actually what I'm talking about, though. And I made good money playing with rock bands. But I made my bread and butter. This is as a teenager. My bread and butter was playing with jazz ensembles, with especially big band that wanted string bass, that wanted bass guitar, wanted somebody that could sight read music. I learned to be extremely good. It doesn't sound very modest, does it? No, I learned how to be extremely good at reading music. All right, and that's how I got my work. And, and it was great. Well, I did it. And then again, when I was, when I was 18, I decided, it was through a conversation with Dizzy Gillespie, believe it or not, an awesome performer. He's like a musician's musician. A lot of musicians just completely look up to him and copy his solos to see how did he do this and why did he do it that way. Amazing musician, great mentor. And following a conversation with him, I realized, this is not what I want to do. That's a whole story in itself. But the point I'm making today, the point that I really want you to get, is it's not about the talent, and it's not just about your work. It's about how you are able to display yourself, display your soul, to actually be natural. I don't care if you play the trumpet, you're an oil painter, you create electronic music compositions, you're a speaker, a writer, anything fits within that. How much do you show yourself? And then, hard work is going to be what makes it work. Hard work is important. Sometimes when I say that, I almost like, wow, now I sound like a fogey. You got to work hard, kids. But you really do. You really do. And don't focus on talent. Don't focus on other people's talent, because guess what? A lot of times, maybe most of the time, that is an excuse to not do the work that you need to do. So hard work and showing your soul, that is what is going to make you a success creatively, success in the world. It's going to help you get what you want in terms of your goals, and it is going to be very fulfilling. If you can express your true self, your higher self, your inner self, however you want to say it, and you work hard doing that and you're focused at doing that, is going to be very, very fulfilling. I hope you liked this video. If you did, click subscribe, click that little bell. You might even like the video. I would love that. It would make me feel very good about myself. No, I feel good about myself, and it would encourage me to make more videos. I want to keep doing this. And I would love it if you make a suggestion or two about the kind of videos you would like to see, about writing, about any kind of creative arts, about creativity in general. What would you like to see? This is Dada Groover, signing out.